I understand your frustration, sir. All right, people, get hydrated. Gatorade. A couple more calories in. Nice little booty. Okay. Making a little something. I think some women think that the larger the ass, the better. A lady can have like a relatively small booty, but if it's shaped properly, it is going to, it is definitely going to stimulate the imagination and make a man want to be a better version of himself or make a fool of himself. One or the other. Sometimes a mixture of both. So you got to see the title. Ego Death for a Better Life. What the fuck does that mean? You might be thinking, well, why the fuck are you asking us? You're the one that wrote it. Well, I'm going to tell you why it's titled the way it's titled. For us men, how in control we appear is real important to us. For a lot of people, since they're out of control, in order to have the appearance of being in control, they try to control other people. But real men understand that it's only possible to control one person at a time. Every human being has the ability to control one human being at a time. So, those who seek self-control are winning. Those who seek to control others are losing. Why? Because as soon as you go to control someone else, you are admitting that you are out of control. That's an admission of being out of control. For some people, oh my God, Holy fuck, that ass is amazing. Get a feeling she knows it too. Just get that feeling. But anyway, she has a very athletic pep to her step, which makes it look even better. But anyway, so part of self-control for men specifically is controlling your ego. Why is that important? Why is ego control important? Are you making this left-hand turn, sir? Okay. I was going to be real pissed if you didn't make that turn. So, yeah, so why is it important? Why is ego control important? Because as men, we understand that our social standing is ranked by how others, men and women alike, how they perceive us to be in control. And being in control looks a bunch of different ways. That could be expertise in certain knowledge, in certain knowledge areas, specialized knowledge. That's a surgeon, that's an experienced personal trainer, that's an experienced coach. Anybody, or even in gaming, that guy that knows how to do that thing that you don't do so well. He's in control of the situation. He sets the tone. And for men, giving up any kind of control or conceding control or expertise level or anything of the sort is considered to be less masculine, less manly. You're considered to be less than. If you're the one taking instruction, you are in the submissive position. And that is the thought process for a lot of males. But real men understand that being in control of your ego sets the tone for everything that happens in your life. And that means in certain situations, letting your ego die may feel like an L that you're taking in the here and now. But it allows you to win. You might lose that battle of the mind, but you win the life war. So I'm going to give you an example of how that benefited me today. So as you know, I go into the gym every week. Normally, I'm actually in the building 2 times per week. Tuesday and Thursday, I do a lot of my workouts at home. But being in the gym twice a week allows me to get my heavy compound lifts in, since I don't have a barbell at home. So there's no barbell back squat I can do at home. There's no deadlift I can do, none of it, right? So, Tuesday and Thursday, I go into Tuesdays thinking it's deadlift time. I go into Thursday thinking it's heavy barbell back squat time. That's the approach. So I have a very, very regimented way of approaching my Tuesday lift. My Tuesday lift is my barbell deadlift. And It is an ego lift for me. What does that mean? Well, an ego lift is a thing that makes you feel like you're most in control. You're at your very best in a testosterone filled environment. So for a lot of you guys, that would be the bench press or the bicep curl. Good job, bitch ass niggas. But for people like me, I measure myself by my deadlift for the most part. Not just how much weight I could move off the floor, but also how much weight I could control on the way back to the floor. And I'm very, very particular about my movement patterns. I'm very, very particular about my approach to the bar. And today, a dude I respect in the building approached me and said, hey, basically what he was saying to me is, I think that you're kind of, lacking some strength, because you're a little bit too high in your positioning. Now, I've been an experienced trainer. I have helped people, come from injuries to deadlifting over 400 pounds. I've gotten, tiny women deadlifting, over 230 pounds. Yeah, like one of my clients, I got her as high as twice her body weight. So you would think somebody with my love of the deadlift, somebody with my level of expertise with the deadlift, everything that I've accomplished as a guy who doesn't really weigh that much to really put a lot of weight on the bar and move the bar, you would think that I know all there is to know about deadlifting. And that's what your ego, if you're in my position, would tell you. That's what your ego would tell you. However, if an experienced trainer is looking at you and saying, hey, you're doing this, your ego is going to tell you, no, I know what I'm doing, because everything that I'm doing, I'm setting out to do. I'm doing this on purpose. I know what I'm doing. That's what the ego would tell you. But if you put the ego to the side, you say, well, is it possible that what I think I'm doing is not actually what I'm doing? Is it possible? Is it possible that my movement patterns are betraying me, where my brain thinks that my body is in one position, and it turns out that I'm actually not in that position? Is it possible? And you know what happened? That's exactly what happened. My body was not in the position that I thought it was the entire time, especially a guy who's as tall as I am, and my levers are longer than most people. The deadlift and the squat are harder movements for me to do. The bench press is a harder movement for me to do, because the weight's got to travel farther to be able to complete the lift, because my levers are longer than most of the people. So from a physics, it puts me at a huge disadvantage, which is why the best weightlifters in the world tend to be very short. The center of gravity is lower. Distance that the weight has to move is much, much shorter than with someone my height. So very rarely, you do see it, but very rarely do you see top level lifters be above 6 feet tall. And it's just physics. You do get the Hafthor Bjornsons and the Marius Puchanowskis, and you do get guys that can lift heavy that are tall. But those guys also have to add like a whole lot of mass in addition to their height in order for for it to work, as a concept. Okay. So the trainer that approached me today He's a little bit shorter than me. Maybe he's like 5'11" or 6 feet tall, right? So he was able to understand that the reason why my deadlift can't look like his is because my levers are longer than his. So our deadlifts are never going to be the same. But what he said was, if you approach the deadlift better, you'd be able to lift more weight more easily. And again, the ego would say, well, I'm an experienced lifter. My 1RM is 2.5 times my body weight, so I'm officially strong because I did a 425 deadlift at 168 pounds body weight, right? My ego would have said, fuck you and fuck off. I know what I'm doing. That's what ego would have said. But I let the ego die. I put the ego away. I put it to the side. And even as an experienced coach, I was coachable. So I allowed myself to listen to somebody else. I put my expertise to the side in favor of someone else's expertise. And how did that work out for me? Well, with the slight adjustments to my proprioceptive perception of my body in space, which is really, I just said proprioception twice. That was redundant, but it's important. It's important. My perception of my body in space was incorrect because I thought that my hips were lower and I thought that I had more leverage in the lift than I actually did. And he was able to show me that, no, sir, no, you didn't. You did not have the leverage you thought you did. Your hips were way higher. You had way less leverage. That the lift is way harder than it needs to be. And I was like, thank you, sir. Not, oh, I know what I'm doing. Shut the fuck up. No. Even a less experienced trainer, if he's able to see that there's something up in my movement pattern, it doesn't matter. It does not matter if they're correct and you let the ego die, you will benefit from being coachable. So what was the end result? Put the ego to the side. I listened to understand. I didn't listen to respond. I didn't listen to show, no, I actually know what I'm doing. No, what is it that you see? What is it that you see? Let me see if I can incorporate this to see if it works for me. And I made the slight adjustments. I went into today, not, because you guys know last week I did 35 reps at 275. So I was not sure if I wanted to go to 295 or to 315. But let me tell you, it's a lot simpler to go to 295 than it is to go to 315 because you don't have to, grab a whole bunch of plates. A lot of times I'd rather just lift heavier so I don't have to have a bunch of fucking plates around. So what did end up happening? Well, instead of going to 295, I decided before I walked into the building today that I was going to go for 315 for 9 repetitions. For a total of 9 reps. That would be 3 sets of 3. Okay? Now, he saw something up in my movement, and he actually was able to think far ahead like I think. He thinks the way I think, which is, hey, what you're doing is effective because you're warming up. But when you get to the heavier weights, that approach, when it breaks down, is going to put you in a bad position. You see, you're in a good position now for the weight that you're lifting right now, but you got to think far ahead. I took that and I said, oh, I watched the way he approached his deadlift, and I got it immediately. My expertise allowed me to be better coachable instead of using that expertise to fight against the message before I even knew whether or not it was beneficial. But I put the fucking ego to the side. I let it die. So instead of wondering whether or not I was going to be able to perform 9 repetitions, I did 40% more work today. Instead of wondering if I should go 3x3 for 295, I did 5 sets of 3 for 315 instead. And I had energy to spare because I let the fucking ego die. I wasn't so eager to show everybody how in control I was. I relinquished control, and now I have more knowledge. So now I'll have even more control than I would have had otherwise. Because it is the point to move more weight, right? I am able to move more weight. Thus, I have more control than I used to have. But I had to relinquish control to gain more control. Now I'm more of an expert in what I do because I allowed somebody else's expertise in an area where there was kind of a hole in my game. I let the ego die. And then I turned what was a pretty irritating morning into a morning filled with true positive feelings. You see, when I do these morning drives and I talk to you guys and you guys see me on the Talking Shit podcast, bit.ly/ capital TALKIN underscore capital SHT. Thank you, Mrs. Evil, for creating that bit.ly link. The reason why you guys have a chance of benefiting from these podcasts, from these live streams, is because you have the humility. You have enough humility to understand that somebody might either know more than you on the subject, or he might have a different knowledge set in the same arena that gives you a more well-rounded arsenal to attack life. And if you have that kind of humility, if you can have that kind of momentary ego death, and you can resurrect yourself, an even better version of yourself. And then when your ego grows, it will have grown healthily. It will have been an ego that has inflated properly, because it will have been backed up by your ability to be coachable and backed up by the work that you are able to accomplish with the newfound knowledge and expertise that you did not have before, that you have now. That's why it's really important to understand that you have one mouth and 2 ears. There's a reason. It's more beneficial to listen than it is to talk. Why are you stopping? Why are you doing that? So, I end up in a situation where I am so much happier with what I was able to do. And going into my squat on Thursday, I have a lot. To think about, because I feel like I've been armed with a little bit more strength just because of a slight adjustment to my movement patterns. And 315 is not heavy weight for me. Understand that. 315 is not heavyweight for me. Um, uh, it's just that it's heavyweight when looking at my injury history from my mid 30s. So now I'm in my late 30s. So you know that I'm that I've made a couple or a few more trips around the sun. So, my ability to recover, I don't really know, about, my ability to, possibly get stronger at the same rate that I was able to get stronger, before. Now I'm going to drive a little slower because you see this big ass truck crossing in front of me and you want to honk your horn. So now we're gonna slow this pace down just a little bit. We'll teach you a little bit of patience, sir. Yeah. Like I'm supposed to move on your schedule. Fuck you honking at me for. There's a lot to gain from listening to people who might know more than you. Kevin Samuels, he says this idiom. He says, eat the meat, spit out the bones. And what does that signify? Always listen, even if you think the person that you're listening to doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. Their perspective might have a benefit for you, but you won't know unless you listen. Says I was open to listening to somebody else, regardless of what I thought about anything. I'm going to listen first. And even if what he's saying is junk, there might be something in his junk that is valuable that I can take and then use to my benefit. But I won't know unless I listen. And I'm not going to listen unless I have the capacity to let the ego die. I let my ego die today, and my confidence and my physical strength was reborn. I am a man on a mission. And judging from what I was able to do today, by November, I might be looking at a new 1RM for the deadlift. And this is coming off of a debilitating back injury. Oh, and by the way, I still don't use a back brace when I deadlift. All right. I still don't use a back brace. And I'm looking at, from what I learned from this guy, and I'm thinking that a 500-pound deadlift could be in my future. And when I achieve it, I'm almost certain I won't be 200 pounds. So I might be creeping. I can see myself creeping to that, 2.75, 3.0 times body weight on the deadlift. But it's not achievable if I don't let the ego die. I'm telling you, if there was more listening in society and less talking, wow. Let that ego die. Let it die every now and again, because you never know where the blessings are going to come from. You never know where the knowledge is going to come from. You never know. I've got a nasty bone bruise. I dropped my tempered glass bottle. I dropped that shit on my knee, but I'm not too mad because I'm glad it hit my knee first. I definitely didn't want it to hit the floor first. 64 ounces of Gatorade in the carpet and shards of glass everywhere. I'd rather take the bone bruise on the knee. Oh, man. So a lot of times, like, I'm happy that you guys, hang out with me on my live streams. But today is the day that I really hope that today is a day that I really hope that people really pay attention. Because this is a life lesson that could literally save lives. With men, there's always that low level threat of violence, and a lot of times that's due to male ego, not wanting to concede because of how that appears to other people when you concede. There are fights, there are skirmishes, there are wars that are fought because two egos met. And then you get these two unyielding forces, and then the only thing that's left is, who's going to take the other one's life. And I let my ego die all the time in various ways. And my life just keeps getting better. Because every single time I defer to somebody else's knowledge, somebody else's ego, I diffuse situations instead of escalating them, or I learn something instead of remaining ignorant. It's one of the reasons I love what we do in the Talking Shit podcast, and the way that, Captain Paul and I, sir, come on, guy. There's a fucking bike lane, and you want to sit in front of me, fucking drug addict bum. You can always tell why certain people are in the positions they're in, because they don't follow instructions. Anyway, I turned a very difficult morning into a really great morning, just simply because I opened my ears and closed my mouth. It's a huge lesson, folks. I know a lot of times people hear other people say that, and it's just a cliche for a lot of people. But man, yeah, McFadful, you're absolutely correct about that. You're absolutely correct about that. People are offended by instructions from others. Did you guys know that 3 out of every 4 personal training clients are women? Did you guys know that? Why is that relevant? Well, women in the gym get injured at a lower rate than the men do. Why do you think that is? Because the ego leads to body death. Because you have these guys who do not understand anything about kinesiology, nothing about biomechanics. They know nothing. But because they're a man, no, I know how to lift. Because I write an article in Men's Health magazine. You know, I'm a finance bro. So naturally, people do not follow the rules of the road. You know, naturally, you know, I'm a finance bro. So I know how to lift weights. Because, you know, I know everything about the market. You know, I know how to trade stocks and, you know, I know about cryptocurrency. That's why I know more about lifting than you, bro. No, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. But after you're set, I see you rubbing your shoulder. After you're deadlifting, throwing your butt up to the fucking heavens, you're rubbing that lower back and you're grabbing your weight belt. You show how much of an expert you're not. But what's fucking you up? Your fucking ego. I made a professional connection with a professional bodybuilder simply because he let his ego die. He let a trainer help him with his movement patterns, literally half his size. I'm half the guy's size, but he let his ego die. He let his fucking ego die. And he listened to me. And now he's benefiting from that. He was doing a motion. I saw him reach. You know, us experienced trainers, we know when somebody's in pain because they reach for certain areas. Hey, guy, I think that you can, you know, you can benefit from adjusting your approach to the lift. I think that you can benefit. And what the fuck ended up happening? What ended up happening? Now he trusts me because he knows I know what I'm talking about. And now I can go to him and say, hey, you're a pro bodybuilder with a pro card. You've won amateur and professional events. Hey, I need some different kind of knowledge. Hey, let me pay you to kind of learn a couple of, you know, different ways to be more effective in my hypertrophy training. And he looks at me and said, no, you don't have to pay me. No. Just get my information. When we're in the gym at the same time, I got you. He let his ego die. I let my ego die. Now we're both better. He's more of a hypertrophy, muscle size building. I'm a muscle strength builder. He learned from me. I learned from him. Now we're both better. It's not possible without ego death. So, lucky for you guys, I'm gonna the trainer that helped me today. I'm gonna be looking to get him on the Talking Shit podcast sometime this week to talk to you guys. If not next week, try to figure this shit out. But if he can help me, I'm very certain that he can help you. So I need you guys to do the right thing for yourself and for others, and make sure that you are subscribed to the Talking Shit podcast. Subscribe. Make sure your friends are subscribed. Because we don't just talk shit on the Talking Shit podcast. We're looking to offer a lot of value beyond just giving our opinions to help you make a better life for yourself. If you have the capacity to let your ego die long enough to learn a little bit from someone else so that you can have a better life. If and only if. Let your friends know about it, because we're bringing some really great ideas and content. You guys let me know if you want me to do a video or to do a live about how I achieved an 800 plus credit rating. My TransUnion credit rating is at 807, and my Equifax is at 802. If you guys want to know what I did to improve my credit rating to the levels that it's at, so that you guys can have access to more affordable financing to, I don't know, maybe you'd be able to get a higher class vehicle when you go to get a car loan or a lease. Maybe if you have better credit with better terms, that monthly payment that you would have had to make can now go to a higher class vehicle or the same vehicle with more options. There's material value in it. So if you guys are interested in that, I'm going to be developing that for the Talking Shit podcast. So, let me know if that's something that you guys want to see, because I was almost $20,000 in credit card debt maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And now I have 0 credit card debt. And I have a credit rating above 800. So if you guys want to know how I did that, let me know in the comments section below. If there is anything else that you guys want me to talk on and speak on as far as becoming a better version of yourself, I'll put that in the comments below. And until next time, I got to go inside and punish my chest so it can get bigger. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.